Hello, FPL managers. Welcome back to a regular episode of the FPL Optimized podcast, which makes this episode number 81. I am Bas, the casual manager, and my co host is Sertalp, the data scientist. This is the podcast in which we combine analytics with the good old eye test. Data or grass, or data and grass? That's the question. And today we'll be covering our usual content, but in a bit more condensed manner in preparation for Gameweek 26. And before we do that, we can do a quick review of our Gameweek 25 performances. Plus, on top, Sertop, you were quite busy last week with two extra episodes or two episodes without me. So, any reflections on that? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, a few things. The first one was like understanding how diverse the perspective in FPL. My chat with Andy Martin actually helped me to understand how different people perceive this game. I mean, I already know
Mm-hmm.
certain people don't use analytics, or maybe like don't maybe enjoy using analytics, or maybe sometimes even dismiss. But Andy Martin says something like, "Yeah, I know this is the right way to play, but I don't want to play it that way," which
Yeah.
made me think a little bit deeper. I will
Okay.
probably talk about it later. The second one is actually my chat with um, Ted Lasso Regen and also FBI Spaceman
Yeah.
had me to understand a little bit better how people are playing with analytics. I mean, it's not always, we keep saying that people don't take a solver and then hit a button and then do whatever
Yeah.
the solver is giving. It
Yeah.
is actually much more deeper than that. So the thing is, like comparing what Andy said and also what other two said, um, we are spending our energy on this game, obviously. Like we are spending
Mm-hmm.
hours. It is fun, obviously. Some
Yeah.
people spend it on actually trying to solve this puzzle manually. I think that's really labor intensive and sometimes
Yeah.
might not be the best approach. Like at least personally, that's what I think.
Yeah.
But analytical approach, it's not, you know, that easy. Like you still need to do your homework. You need to run a few things and understand. Solver is only helping you to um, show you the solution when you have certain restrictions in mind. And then you keep changing those restrictions until you find, the best wildcard you can come up with. So, especially Alistair spent lots of time on that wildcard draft, which I
Yep.
appreciated the thinking behind it. The third one is deep diving to these like fixture possibilities, like with chip optimization with solvers was very enlightening. I mean, so because like I can't really be bothered with understanding how fixtures work and how like doubles and blanks appear, but it was really fascinating to think about. And if you're really serious about this game, you can actually like there's still some edge there that you can actually optimize your chip strategy much better compared to other people, and that's why I think analytics guys will do better towards the end of the season. I mean, they're already
Yeah.
doing fantastic, but towards the
Yeah.
end of the season, it will be even more obvious. And
Yeah.
the community feedback was great. We heard lots of good things about the last two episodes. People really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And my final thing to mention is, so I asked Andy if how he would feel if I hand him the optimal solution. Okay, this is the optimal team. If I
Yeah.
am able to prove mathematically, suppose like I
Yeah.
put everything that a person can know about Premier League, including eye test. Let's include eye test from anything actually, and then I optimize it, and I know that this team is optimal. Like, how would you
Yeah.
feel if I hand this to you? And he said, I will say it's a shame, like because I want to solve it. I
Yeah.
have been developing tools for a long time for FPL, as you know, and
Yeah.
it never occurred to me that there are people who would be upset with getting the optimal team, or like at least find it a little bit, it's a shame. Um,
Yeah.
I it helped me to understand that people want maybe better tools to manage this process, but not necessarily something telling them, okay, this is the optimal team, this is how you should play. Some people even get upset like thinking about
Yeah.
it. So maybe that will change my like path in terms of how I develop these tools. Like I
Okay.
was focusing on developing tools that you can get optimal solution, but maybe it is more about the process itself, like what you put as your input for your FPL team and what you get at the end. Obviously, as an optimization expert or like specialist
Yeah.
at work, um, I believe in superiority of analytical approaches, including optimization. So I cannot
Hmm.
really say that, okay, I'm giving up on optimization. But at the same time, I feel like people want more like diversity, better tools. Yeah,
Okay.
that was some kind like that was impactful
Interesting.
on me. Like I kept thinking about it, how he said, I will say it's a shame that you gave me the optimal solution. Never thought that someone would say that.
Okay. Yeah, I was listening to that, and I was smiling because you felt that he was the exception, but I think in reality, I think the way you play it is actually more the exception, which maybe I think for you is
Yes.
difficult to realize. But I think most people, also myself, we play this game out of, let's say, the love for football first, right? We all enjoy football. We think we know a little bit about it, and then hey, let's play this game. I'm pretty sure I can be a good manager. And then it turns out that maybe we're not that good.
I mean, well, I understand. Well, first of all, I think I understand that, people,
Yeah,
well, obviously not everyone is using a solver or mathematical approaches. Um, I was surprised to hear that he accepts that the analytical gameplay is the best way to play the game if you are trying to
yeah,
win it. But
yeah,
he's like, but I want to have fun. Like I want to solve this
right,
puzzle myself,
yeah,
which was interesting because like I always thought that people are not using mathematical approaches because they don't really believe in it. They're like, oh, football is played on the grass. Like I'm gonna watch the
yeah,
game and I'm gonna come up with the best FPL team ever. That's not correct. FPL is a game of mathematics. So you need mathematical optimization solvers to do better. I mean, in the long term, we will see. I will also talk at the end of this episode, but
yeah,
analytical managers are just killing it this season, and it's not
yeah,
surprising to me. Like that was
no,
expected, in my opinion. But I think
yeah,
what Andy said about I know analytics is the best, but I just
yeah,
prefer not to use it. I think that's a
yeah,
unique position. I feel like most people are not using because they're like, I can't be bothered. Like I love football.
hmm.
And also one more thing to like as a message to people who are saying that, oh, I love football, that's why I'm playing FPL, I don't want to use mathematics or whatnot. I mean, still, like there's a heavy load on FPL managers. Like even if you want to buy a certain player, let's say you watched a player, you went
Yeah,
to the game and then you watched Kudus and you were talking about him. You're like, oh, I really liked him. I would like to have him in my team. You can actually add him to your team and then ask optimization to come up with other players who can rotate well with Kudus, for example.
yeah,
I feel like that's a good way to play the game. You are still
yeah,
loving football. No one is saying that
yeah.
you're not, and then you are picking the players you feel like who will do well. But I need to maybe a little bit think
No, but
more deeply on
I,
this. Yeah.
I think what I wanted to say that maybe the starting point is different, but I was quite surprised. I mean, I don't know Andy that well. I just know him from X, but from the discussion, I was quite surprised that actually his approach was quite balanced. Right? He did say that he was using some data and analytics,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I think that's actually what a lot of people do, like myself. Right? I'm a bit like Andy. I think I like to watch games. I like to look at the fixtures. I like to come up with my own plan. But at the same time, when I talk to you and we look at the optimal team, or I look at the stuff from Ben Krallen or other people on Twitter with advice, I use that as well. But I don't go as far as saying, okay, now I will go to a solver and I want to see what the solver is doing. So
Yeah, I just want to like reduce people's like make it more accessible in a way that
yeah,
using solver is not that difficult. First of all, like you don't need to install anything. Like most of these tools are online, or there's
yeah,
an online version of it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I understand people are kind of maybe like scared to use a solver, but once you use it once, I
Yeah.
believe it will be hard to go back to your traditional
Yeah, no, I
methods.
can imagine. And as you said, the analytics managers are really doing well this season.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I think that was a really nice discussion. So thanks for having that, and also
Mm-hmm.
thanks Andy, in case he's listening, for joining on our podcast. And then I thought your other discussion with Alistair and Johnny, I think it was Johnny, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
was really good too. And when looking at the YouTube video, in which you also like you do today, you show the OR. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it was really impressive to look at it for the three of you, because you're all in the kind of top 5K. So yeah, really doing well. So I think any advice, of course, that you guys gave is something that we all should take seriously. And yeah, some really interesting information about the upcoming game weeks and the chip planning. So I think I'm pretty sure a lot of people find it useful, me
Mm-hmm.
included. So thanks
Great.
for doing that.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, it almost felt like you don't need me anymore.
No,
So
no,
yeah.
no. We need a casual manager in the pod to
Yeah,
balance it.
I know. I like the variation. We should definitely invite guests more
Yeah,
often, also.
certainly. It was fun.
Okay, so yeah, let's have a quick look at how our teams performed in the double game week 25, which I
Sure.
think for many people turned out to be quite a frustrating week. But for you, it was quite good, right?
It was, yeah, quite good for me. I mean, and I was checking my FPL Twitter feed. Obviously, I follow lots of analytics managers. So
Yeah,
I kept saying great stuff like, "Oh, I got like 112 points, 126
yeah.
points, and whatnot." And
Wow.
then I also follow like people who are not using analytics, and their gamings were usually a little bit worse, like 80,
Okay.
85 points range. And they were very frustrated with the week. So it was kind of like it was interesting to see it. Um,
Uh,
and well, my game week went pretty well. I got 108 points. And my overall rank now is 1007.
yeah,
So
so wow.
I was inside top
Yeah,
1000, and then but Van Dijk I think scored, was it
yeah.
his goal maybe,
I think
that
so.
pushed me
Yeah,
out of 1000. But I don't
yeah,
mind. At least Liverpool won the game. I was
yeah,
really scared after the first goal, obviously.
yeah,
um well, the funny thing is, even though it's a double game week, lots of points came from single game week
yeah,
players. Like Watkins
yeah,
got 13 points, Solanke got 12, Saka got 15. So
yeah,
it was a little bit funny. But at the same time, I think I hit the jackpot with Ederson and Walker, as far as the double game week players go.
yeah, yeah,
And it's funny because when
yeah.
Ederson doesn't keep a clean sheet, that's all we talk about. But when he gets 11 points, I don't hear anyone talking about it. So yeah,
Yeah, and I remember a few weeks ago you were talking about selling Ederson even for -4 to
that's
prepare for the
true.
double game week. Yeah,
That's true. I was
which you
frustrated.
didn't.
I think my
Yeah.
hand was forced to keep him, and I'm glad I
Okay.
kept him. I will be really pissed if I sold him a few weeks
Yeah.
ago and then he got 11
Yeah.
points. But yeah,
Yeah.
glad he is here.
Yeah.
And you got
Oh, well done.
101 points. So what do you want to talk
Yeah,
about?
101. Not too bad. I think both of us, we had our triple captainship on Haaland. So, yeah, in the end, we were happy that he scored a goal. I think, ideally we would have hoped for more, but, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite pleased with the result. I'm actually quite pleased that I kind of resisted the urge to bring in more double game week players. Before the game week, I was thinking, oh, maybe I need to bring in Darwin, or maybe I need to bring in a Brentford player, but I didn't. I saved the transfer, which in the end turned out to be the right strategy. It also gives me now two free transfers to get ready for the blind game week
Mm-hmm.
26.
Yes.
And yeah, with 101 points, quite happy with that. Even though it could have been a bit more, there was
Mm-hmm.
this Walker Haaland goal, which was just offside for Walker. That was really
Yeah.
frustrating. I was already cheering, but that didn't work. And then a bit later, Foden, he ran towards the goal. He went past Flecken, the goalie, and then he still missed. So yeah, and I'm a Foden owner, so that could have been nice. And yesterday, yeah, Virgil scored a goal, but he could actually have scored two, so that could have been even nicer, because then I would have beaten you. But unfortunately, I didn't. So it's 14-11 now to you. So the gap is getting a bit bigger.
Yeah, you're close. You're close.
Yeah, well done, well done. All right, well, let's switch attention to game week 26. And I
Hmm.
think, yeah, we cannot really look at it in isolation because I think any move we'll make now should also consider already, what you plan to do for double game week 28, for example, or the blind game week 29,
Yeah.
especially. And ideally, I think you should already have a kind of chip strategy in mind, especially for 29. For example, if you do plan to free hit, then yeah, you don't need to consider too much at the moment with your transfers, to get ready for 29. In my case, I'm actually thinking that I want to avoid my free hits. So I think with my transfers, I'll try to get ready for game week 29. Not sure
Hmm.
it's the right thing to do, but I still have it in my mind, and probably I'll stick to it. So, yeah,
Nice.
in other words, it's quite a difficult period to navigate, but also a period that can lead to good opportunities if we manage it well.
Agree.
So let's dive into that. We will not cover all the usual content, as I think Sertalp, you were not feeling too great this morning.
Yeah, maybe it's obvious from my voice, but yeah, I'm a
But
little bit sick.
yeah, no worries. I think we are covering the most important stuff, and I think the good news is also that with your solver, it's kind of considering the challenges that we will
Hmm.
face the next week. So when we look at the optimal team for this week, it should already set you up pretty nicely for the next game weeks. So we'll talk through that, but I think before that, you have some game week odds also.
Yeah, we won't
Yeah.
have the fixture ticker, but I was able to capture this graphic from Rapti FPL
Yep.
regarding game week 26 goals and clean sheet odds.
Yeah.
Um, so well, this week Arsenal has the highest goal average 2.5, and their clean sheet ratio is also pretty good, 39%. And in contrast, Newcastle's clean sheet odd is only 8%. So
Yeah.
I guess we expect goals in that game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Manchester City is at 2.4 against Bournemouth away. Um, and also Aston Villa has a good fixture, 2.2 average projected goals
Yeah.
against Nottingham Forest. And also
Yeah.
Manchester United has the same goal ratio, 2.2 against Fulham.
Okay.
One interesting thing here is Wolves. Their goal average here is 2.15, but there are also people, and it is 2.15 against Sheffield United.
Yeah.
And we have some people in the community who keeps these team strength models. I think their estimation is a little bit lower than this, maybe even significantly lower. Um,
Okay.
so,
Okay.
so yeah, I think betting markets think Wolves has a better chance of scoring goals in that game, and
Yeah.
2.15 is a very significant number.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think Wolves players are being talked about a lot this week.
Hmm.
Wang and also Neto. So definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
For me, what I mentioned earlier, I have game week 29 in mind, in which Villa has a game, and that's also now looking at Villa for this game week at home against Nottingham. I think for
Hmm.
me that can be a good option. So I'll probably I'll look at Villa. But yeah, if you don't have 29 in mind, game week 29, then of course also Man United maybe with Højlund, who has been scoring every week now recently.
Yeah.
So that could also be an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at the optimal team because probably that will answer many of our questions.
Hmm. In optimal team, we have Areola in the goal, and the bench goalkeeper is Neto. Neto plays in most of the fixtures because he has a obviously like double game week,
Yeah.
like in 3 game weeks of time.
Yeah.
Um, but like they rotate nicely. This week it's Areola, but eventually Solver sells Neto for Pickfords down the line. And
Okay.
keeps Pickford until the end of the horizon. But obviously, this is assuming that well, you're using your wildcard now, and then no other chips until the end of the horizon. If you are
Yeah.
planning to use your bench boost in 37 or like any free hit, obviously this team will be different. But yeah, let's go with the optimal wildcard team, assuming you don't have any other chips. And in defense, we have Gabriel, Reguilon, and Pau. And Pau becomes Robertson after 5 game weeks. Until then, he has some okay fixtures. And we have Odegaard, Saka, Douglas Luiz, and Hichan in Hwang Hichan in midfield.
Yeah.
Odegaard here only for 3 game weeks of time. Obviously, they have a really good fixture this week. We talked about the projected goals. And Saka stays through the horizon. Douglas Luiz eventually turns into Salah, and then
Okay.
Huang is a whole term keep here. Um,
Okay.
Here, one problem is in blank game week 29, you
Yeah.
might have less than 11 players depending on how the fixtures fall. So you need to be
Right.
careful with the planning here.
Right.
And in forward, we have Watkins. Stays for most of the horizon and becomes Isaac at the end of the horizon. Tony, similarly, he stays here for a long time and then eventually becomes Darwin. And then Holland is the optimal captain. But
Okay.
the interesting thing is, Solver keeps Holland only for 2 game weeks and then sells him and gets Solanke for the double game week and then
For the double.
captains him.
Yeah.
Solanke's EV for that game is really high. For that game week, I should
Yeah.
say, for the double game week, it's 11.8.
Yeah.
Sheffield United and Luton Town. So if you haven't used your triple captain, I think that's the most natural place to use it. And
Yeah.
and then on the bench we have Senesi, Doughty, and Son. Son doesn't play in this game, obviously they have a blank. But then rest of the horizon is pretty good. I mean, he has some games where the project points is really high. He's
Yeah.
obviously a good player and good long-term hold here.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. I know, a strong team. 3 Arsenal. We can see that all the Liverpool players dropped out, probably because of the blank now
Mm-hmm.
in game week 26, and still Haaland as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was talking about Villa before, and the 2 players I have in mind are actually shown here. So it's Pau and Douglas Luiz.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that will be probably my transfers for this week. Even though there's also Moreno to consider in the back, and in the
Mm-hmm.
midfield there's also Bailey. Quite some discussion on that also, I think, on X, like who are the better options.
Mm-hmm.
But it might be these two. Yeah, and as you mentioned, quite an interesting double game week coming up for Bournemouth in 28 with Sheffield and Luton at home.
Mm-hmm.
And also the week before they play against Burnley. So I think as of game week 27, could be a good moment to look at the Bournemouth options because then, yeah, it will prepare you for 27, but also for 29. So
Yeah.
that's good. Oh, no, sorry, not 29, 28, the double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this
Yeah.
team eventually has like Solanke, obviously, for 28, but also
Yeah.
Senesi and Neto. So it's like triple Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And even the goalkeeper projection is like 7.5, pretty good. And also
Yeah.
for Senesi, it's 6.8, which is also pretty good. So yeah, triple Bournemouth. Like, what could go wrong, right?
Yeah. Just that they don't have a game in 29, or not so likely. That would make it a no brainer for me if they had a game in 29. But
Yeah.
who knows? It's still not decided.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
and also I want
Very
to
good.
show this. These are
All
the
right.
projected goal rates from FPL review.
Yeah.
And then if you're watching on YouTube, I try to mark every player we have in the team with a green borderline. Um,
Ah.
so it kind of like shows what the solver is thinking in terms of like which players to bring. Haaland has 2 good fixtures like in front of us, like both 26 and 27. But then, well, blank possibility in 29 and also 28
Yeah.
and 30 fixtures are less favorable compared to other options. So that solver drops Haaland after 2 game weeks
Okay.
of time.
Okay.
Saka, I mean, he's obviously like again a blank possibility in 29, but the rest of the horizon, like until the end of the season, it looks pretty good. Obviously, he's a long
Yeah.
term hold. Similarly, Son has good fixtures, and also like they have a possible double in 37. So Solver is avoiding. You said that the Solver is avoiding Liverpool players, and here we see Salah blank, and then also another possible blank in 29. But then after that, his numbers are pretty high. So
Right.
Solver is waiting for 4 game weeks and then brings Salah back.
Yeah.
That
That makes sense.
that move will probably require some planning, because like obviously his price might change, and also the players in your team, their prices might change, so you don't want to
Yeah.
be priced out of that move. And
Yeah.
Solanke, he said like he's game week 28, rate is pretty good. It is 1.3 goals average predicted for him in
Wow.
that game week. So pretty nice.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
the highest in this chart actually that I can see.
Yeah. So
Um,
kind of a must own in that week.
yeah, and then the closest one is Holland. It is 1.23 in game week 37 for the double there. So that's
Oh
why I
well.
said like for triple captain, I think Solanke
Yeah.
this week or Holland in 37 are the most realistic
Yeah.
options here.
Yeah.
And Watkins has pretty good numbers again. And then Huang or Hee-chan, I understand people are just thinking, like trying to figure out which Wolves midfielder to bring, but I think the penalty share for Hee-chan, like possibility of like him using penalties, has a
Yeah.
big impact. And for
Right.
this game week, especially, his projected goals is 0.59, which is pretty good. So I feel like he will be a really popular option. I was also checking YouTube and I saw that most of the FPL content creators have him in their like banner, like thumbnail,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
he
he's
will be
talked
really
about a lot.
popular.
And I think it's also because Cunha is injured there, so the number 9 spot is for probably for Hichan now to take. So
Hmm,
that also
hmm.
makes him interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, these are the projected goals from FPL review, which was interesting to look at.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I think the point you made about Salah, I think yeah, we could see the impact of Salah also now in game week 25. He came into the team in the first game, and he scored a
Mm,
goal right
yeah.
away. Unfortunately, he missed the second game, but if he's fit, he'll be important to bring back in game week 30, and yeah, I mean, for me, if I do go all the way to game week 29 without free hitting, and then so kind of that ending, then the strategy would be to wild card and either game
Hmm.
week 30 or 31, and in that kind of case, of course, you can then bring Salah back. I think that strategy lost a bit of appeal maybe recently, but I still have it in mind for myself. So we'll
Okay.
see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, we covered the optimal team and we covered this chart. I think the next one is probably the captaincy chart.
Yeah, Haaland is the undisputed leader this game
Okay.
week for captaincy,
All right, that,
7.04.
that
And
ends
the
the discussion.
end of discussion. And Saka is the alternative with 6.4.
Okay.
So there's like zero point 0.6 EV difference. I typically set the threshold at zero point 0.5, so I feel like Saka is ahead, like, outside of the consideration range for me. So obviously Haaland will be my captain.
Okay.
Um, but I was checking. Saka is number 2 in most models. So there are two exceptions. The first one is Fantasy Football Scott has Hichan in the second spot
Okay.
after
Yeah.
Haaland. There's a
Yeah.
12% difference between Haaland and him, but still, that was interesting to see. And also, they have Neto in the third place, so they really think that the
Mm.
Wolves are a good option this week.
Yeah.
And FPL team has Salah in the second place in front of Saka.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, just to cover all the top 5 options, we said Haaland, Saka, and then comes Watkins at 5.98, and Hichan at 5.59, and Bruno Fernandes at 5.35. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm guessing that most people will captain Haaland, but if you're looking for adventure, there are
Probably captain the
options.
robot, even though Saka has been doing really well in recent weeks, and they play at home. Arsenal is always quite strong at home. Play against Newcastle, who are a bit struggling in the back. So yeah, if you want to try something different, I think Saka could be an interesting one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah, you need to dare to go against Haaland. Yeah.
yeah. True.
All right, very good. We covered a lot, and I think probably this is sufficient information for people
Hmm.
to make their game week 26 decisions. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Sir Top?
Let's cover the mini league updates first, and then I will talk about
Okay.
our analytics mini league.
Yeah, yeah, we can do that. Mini league updates. So yeah, we saw some big scores in our league, as we covered
Hmm.
before. We have a pretty competitive league. We have a new leader, Richard Smith, with his team Botman Returns. It's a team we've seen in the top three before, so Richard is quite a consistent performer, it seems. And he had a game week score of 103 points and a total score now of 1,695 points. This makes him the number 42 in the world. So that's pretty cool.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Congratulations, Richard. And number two is a team with a name I unfortunately can't pronounce. It looks to be in another language or something like that. But the manager is Ike's Gooden. He has a total score of 1,686 points. And then we have number three, Byron Green, with the team Aston Mins Wins on 1,685 points. So congrats to all three of you. Keep it up, and Sertalp, you're number 26. So that's pretty nice
Okay.
as well.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Uh,
Yeah,
it's great that we have 4 people in our mini league that are inside the top 100 overall rank.
yeah,
I just enjoyed it.
very impressive.
Yeah, and yeah, I want to cover also the analytics mini league. So we have a mini league for the people who are in the Discord FPL analytics Discord server.
Yeah,
The mini league name is Ballot Wisdom. And we have 225 people in this mini league. We have over 1,000 members in the analytics Discord, but not everyone in the mini league.
sure.
Out of these 225 people, we have 8 managers in top 100, and 37 of them are inside top 1K, and 93 of them are inside top 10K. That's the 41% of the entire mini league, and also
Wow.
175 people in top 100K, which is the
Okay.
77% of the entire population here.
Yeah,
That's very impressive. I feel like that's a good result showing that how well analytics managers are doing. And
definitely.
I also want to give a shout to like 8 people in the top 100 from this mini league. We have Ross, Sam, Jonas, John, Lewis, YX. He's also in our optimized mini league, and Simus
Excellent.
and Chris. So they're doing pretty well, and Ross is number 4 in the world, and
Wow.
Ross also uses the Python optimization solver, which also makes me additionally happy. Most of these people are
Yeah,
obviously using analytics, but yeah, some
yeah,
people are also using the optimization solver that I was working on. So yeah, it was just great to see, and also other analytics leagues are also doing pretty well.
yeah.
Again, then it makes some people a little bit annoyed. I was checking the Twitter and I said maybe I shouldn't read too much today, but yeah, just wanted to give a shout to these brilliant people.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing. And maybe it's something for another pod, but I was just wondering, like, do you have any explanation why the analytics community is doing so well this year, especially compared to last year? Or is that
Um,
something for another pod?
I think, yeah, well, it's a little bit difficult to summarize probably because there are lots of
Uh,
things that I can, well, go wrong or, right for the analytics
yeah,
managers. The thing is, obviously, like most of these selections are correlated. There are lots of teams,
yeah,
but there are certain
yeah,
picks that every
yeah,
analytics person has, like Watkins, Saka, like Solanke for the most part.
yeah.
These kind of players. Some feel like Field was a little bit late to get some of these
Okay.
players. Obviously, there's
Yeah,
Mubemo at the beginning of the season, for
yeah,
example.
yeah.
Um, Eventually, though, like Field realizes, oh, this guy is doing points. Maybe I should bring
Right.
him in. But
Yeah,
by that time, the fixtures are different, so that you are
yeah.
moving. So analytics guys are not afraid of selling players who just scored
Right.
double-digit points in the previous game week. They don't care. They're like, okay,
Yeah.
yes, it happened, but also the fixtures coming up, they're really bad, so I'm gonna sell this guy.
Right.
Um, Less bias towards points, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, this season, obviously, we got lucky with
Okay.
lots of picks. I mean, Mubemo is one example. Obviously, his projections were high,
Yeah.
and that's why analytics crowd invested in him. But he also got more points than we expected. So it was kind of
Yeah.
like very lucky for us in general. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of amplified the impact.
Sure.
I was My expectation was that analytics managers will start doing better in the second half of the season. Well, the first half is just, quite
Right.
mixed. Points are very close, so you change rank quite easily.
Yeah.
But in the second half, there's like it's more difficult to move in the ranks. I mean, you moved quite a bit, by the way. Congratulations for that movement.
Yeah,
Um,
but my rank was quite low, so I'm happy that I'm finally getting close to the 1 million rank.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You will enter this week
As I
probably.
said, I just try to end as high as possible, not giving up. But my
Yeah,
first half of the season was pretty bad. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
And
no, but
also,
that's pretty good.
yeah, yeah.
Nice for all the analytics managers, and let's see, maybe someone will win FPL this year. That would be nice.
That's what I'm kind of hoping for. I
That's
feel
what
like
you're hoping for.
yeah, I mean, eight
Yeah, I
people
know.
in top 100. I feel like we have a good chance, and
Yeah,
also
you have a good chance.
most
Are
of
you
these
also helping
people.
each other a little bit then, especially those in the top 100? You're trying to kind of cheer them on, or you can try to
We are
give tips,
definitely
or
cheering for them. I mean,
yeah,
Ross got
yeah,
lots
yeah.
of shot this week in the Discord
Oh, cool.
server, so like
Yeah,
we are very like excited to see if
yeah,
one of us will win the game. But yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that will be good, obviously, but it
yeah.
would also well make analytics a little bit more visible to the crowds. I feel like then we will start losing our edge if it gets really popular. But yeah, I think we still have some time until that happens.
Yeah. Okay. Just thinking about, because you have this community. I saw there's already now, what is it, the FPL Fest being announced in August. Maybe you should go and you have a kind of an analytics table or an analytics corner.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
Let's see. All right. Well, that was great. Great content. And that was also then it for today. So thanks everyone for listening. This was FPL Optimized Podcast, episode number 81. Good luck with navigating the blank game week 26, and make sure you have a plan in place for the game weeks that will follow. We'll be back with a new episode next week. You can subscribe to our podcast so you'll get notified when the next episode is published. And do follow us on X. For Sertalp, it's at Sertalp Bilal. For me, it's at BelfiBB. And we also have a separate account for the pod, which is at FPL Optimized. And on top, as you probably know by now, you can also find FPL Optimized on YouTube.
And also, by the way, I saw that you are wearing your Ajax jersey. Want to say something
Especially
before
for my
I close
son
the
today,
episode?
because they're playing in the Conference League knockouts against Bodo Glimt in Norway,
Hmm.
and I heard him cheering a bit earlier this evening. So they're 1-0 up, but yeah, Ajax are struggling this season. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, they will win this one.
Okay, good luck. And then until next time, stay curious and stay analytical. Goodbye.
Goodbye.